everyone, it's Jules. Welcome back to my channel. And of course I have a special guest. It's Gunnar, who is my husband, and he has been very gracious to come and join me today for you guys to learn a little bit about him, and also later on we're both going to answer some questions kind of to show how much we know about each other, if you will. So, Gunnar, are you excited?
I am mildly excited. Maybe nervous.
Yeah. It's kind of a strange thing, I guess, right? To be talking to a camera, basically my iPhone sitting over there. But I think this will be a little bit fun, and hopefully all of you enjoy it. If you're curious about how we met, I already did a video about that, and I'll link it up here and also down below in the description box. So feel free to watch that. I'm not going to go into how we met and everything because I literally did a video that's like 27 minutes long, goes into all those details. All right, but to start off, for you to get to know Gunnar a little bit, he's going to answer some questions.
Okay.
So the first one is, what was it like growing up in Iceland?
For me, it was very nice. I was very lucky. My family was very warm and fun because it was like basically like a bus stop in the sense that there was people in and out, and I enjoyed that. I had a lot of energy, and there was a safe environment where I could be outside, run outside, late into the night, do whatever in my neighborhood, and my parents didn't have to worry. I just knew I came home at a certain point in time, and that was it. And that was, not very sheltered, but a beautiful life.
In a suburb of Reykjavik,
yes,
as well.
A place called Kópavogur, but it's essentially an addition, the next town over from Reykjavik.
Yeah.
In the capital area.
In the 80s. He's the 80s baby.
I was born in 82.
Mm-hmm.
And, it was a lot of freedom, a lot of bicycling into the wilderness on your own or with a bunch of kids with a backpack filled with stuff. And, starting from just a young age, I was bicycling with older kids when I was 4, 5, 6, going places. So.
Mm-hmm. Wanted to be one of the big kids.
Yeah, older brothers. And I definitely acted that way, like I was much older than I was.
Mm-hmm.
All tried.
Yeah. And you moved to the US at some point. Why did you move to the US, and for how long did you live there?
Well, I went to the US because I wanted to continue studying psychology. I was done with an undergrad here in psychology in the University of Iceland, and there wasn't the idea to continue studying psychology in Iceland wasn't as exciting as going somewhere else, because I wanted to find a different way of thinking and being, and I hadn't ever been really to the US for an extended period of time like that to get to know how people think, and so that was a choice because I speak English alright.
He does really well, so he's very humble about this, but his English is impeccable. FYI. He also has written your doctoral thesis was in English and all this stuff, and helping other people with their English. So don't listen to him when he says his English is just okay. His English is great. If only my Icelandic becomes as good as his English, I think I will be fulfilled. So
We'll see that day.
yeah. And so after you lived in the US, because obviously you were there for 8 years, I don't know if you said that or not, but you were there for quite a long time. When you came back to Iceland, I don't know if I ever really asked you this, what was it like coming back to Iceland after being away for so long?
Different circumstances. I was still finishing my education, I guess, but
Writing your thesis.
Yes,
Yeah.
my dissertation.
Dissertation, yeah, sorry.
Yes. But it was very rejuvenating in a different way. So I was kind of connecting to my roots. I started coming back to living with my mom for a little bit. That was really nice. Missed her a lot. And then connecting with nature again. And I missed the natural part of Iceland a whole lot. You know, all the mountains, the clean water, the clean air, all of this that I think makes us unique in our own way. Yeah. The energy that comes with living here. And I didn't know really how much I missed it until I had left for a good time.
Yeah.
But, I guess that was a sort of a healing thing, coming back.
That's nice. And he was living in Indiana, for anyone who's curious. I think I mentioned that in the story about how we met. But obviously Indiana, at least in Muncie, is a very different place than Iceland. And there isn't anywhere in the US, I don't think, that really is like Iceland that I know of.
No, not it doesn't capture the many essences of it. Yeah. I mean, there are a few places that rain a lot.
Yeah, that's... I don't know if that's what you want to have in common, but like, whatever. Okay, so since you've gotten just a little bit of background about Gunnar, he's a psychologist. That's another thing to kind of mention. And that's what he does for a living here in Iceland. So even though he studied it, some people study something and then usually go off to something else, but he has pursued that as his career and currently is a psychologist here in the country. So let's go on now to the couples tag. I've got a bunch of questions here, so if you see me looking down, that's basically where it is. I'm just looking at my lap because the questions are sitting here. And I think this would be kind of fun to basically put out a question for the both of us to answer. Okay. And it's supposed to be about the other person. So I'll give an example. If I say like, which food do I love or hate? Then I'm asking Gunnar to answer that about me. So let's start with that question. Which food do I love or hate? And or hate?
I'm not very fond of the word hate.
Mm-hmm. Dislike strongly.
Yes.
How about that?
Love, I would say broccoli.
Yes, I do love broccoli.
That is a thing she truly enjoys.
Mm-hmm.
Dislike strongly. Well, that's a tricky one. Now, I guess non-tasty foods, which is a really evasive answer.
I'll give you a hint. Dracula.
Well, that isn't a food per se, but the taste of really strong salty licorice, yes. Oof. There we go.
Not my favorite.
But not just licorice, but
no.
Strongly salty.
Yes, licorice. He has been trying to...
Peppery salty.
Let's help me develop a taste for licorice. I'll put it like that by, being like, try this one, try that one. But I feel like if your palate does not really enjoy licorice to begin with, it's not good to go super strong in the beginning because it just completely pushes you away from it. Absolutely. And I did get a taste of really strong, salty, peppery licorice when I was coming to visit the country. And I just thought licorice was the worst thing ever because of that. So now I've been like easing a little bit more into it by eating candy with like marzipan and licorice together, blah, blah. But for him, like the strongest stuff is the best. Why even, he likes other things, but like the strongest is the best, essentially. So, all right. So for you, what foods do you love / dislike strongly? I'm gonna start with dislike strongly only because of the way it makes you feel. And that would be spicy food. So his stomach does not like spicy food. And he had an operation when he was younger, in his 20s, I think, right?
Around 20.
Where your intestine ruptured or something, and he had to it was gross. And they basically had to go in there, clean it up, set things back in. And since then, I'm assuming, right, because I wasn't around during that time of his life, but since then he's had trouble with digesting spicy food. Yeah. And I love spicy food. So whenever we go to restaurants, we have to be like, give the spicy to me and not to him. However, they always screw it up. And they always end up giving him the spicy food and not me. And he's like, I'm going to have the worst stomachache ever. So I would say more like, it's just because of how it makes you feel. Mm-hmm. The food, what kind?
No, I agree with that. I mean, I don't like the end result. Even though upon a time I did like okay spicy flavor. but now I've grown to dislike it with this association.
Yeah, I can understand that. A food that you love. I was gonna say candy because, but I think it's more of a like just because of the sugar. But I know he really loves chocolate, and okay, that's a type of candy. But like chocolate cake, chocolate flavored a lot of things is pretty much good enough. And like a good quality chocolate. It's not just like, for instance, he doesn't want to drink Hershey milk or like that to him isn't tasty. And for all of you out there who are Hershey milk fans, sorry. According to Gunnar standards, it's not gonna cut it. So that's just life, whatever. But yeah, good quality chocolate products are ones he definitely enjoys a lot. So like for his birthday, he'll get like a delicious chocolate cake and all this jazz. Homemade, usually. I don't know if we'll agree on this one or not, but like, who was the first to say I love you?
I'm not sure.
I don't know. I mean, it's funny. I'm trying to think of it, and like in my head, I thought it was Gunnar. But now I'm not even sure.
No, I mean, I don't remember the first moment anymore, but it was, I don't know, it felt like it came naturally and fairly quickly after after we had decided to be together.
Agreed.
Yeah.
And I'm trying to figure out how to phrase this question.
But I'll take it if you want me to.
Alright, so he did it first.
Yeah, absolutely.
Who kissed the other one first?
Well, I know how that happened. That was in that story, I'm guessing. But yes, Jules kissed me first.
My girl knows what she wants.
But the first kiss where we were both ready, I think.
Okay, fair enough. So in the story that I talk about how we met, I did catch him off guard and just like go for it in the middle of the street or something, like really random. But
like right after exiting the bus.
Yeah, it was just like, I think we're both like into each other, so going for it. And it was a hilarious moment. I wish I could have captured that because it was just like, okay. And I mean, later, obviously, it worked out just fine, but hilarious to me that I was like, oh crap.
That's surprising to me too.
Mm-hmm. What is my weirdest habit?
Weirdest habit. That's a difficult thing to answer, I think. Probably says more about me than you. I'm guessing the tendency to put your bag on a chair or the sofa because you don't want to put it on the floor.
Okay, so this is really funny because so my mom always taught me, and I think it's like a superstitious thing, is that if you leave your bag on the floor, like money's gonna come out of it. And not like literally jump out of your bag, but like this idea that you're letting money kind of just like flow out of your life or something. And also your bag will get dirty. So there's twofold. So for me, it's like this weird superstition that I grew up with, this idea that bag on the floor somehow means that you're just like letting money flow out of your life. And like I said, the other one, about not being dirty. Yeah. So, okay. One of Gunnar's weirdest habits, because I know I have probably things that people, might think strange other than that. But one thing, and you're probably gonna be like, whatever, Jules. But Gunnar likes to fart, but like he wants me to hear it, and then he does it. Like you'll just like, because you have quite loud ones. And look at his face. He's like, whatever. I knew you were gonna do.
I mean, part of it is that. Part of it is not hiding it.
Yeah, and I don't think there's anything wrong with hiding it, but I just find it really funny that it would be like, and then be like, Jules. And I'm like, what? Yeah. You want me to acknowledge that your farts sound like ducks or whatever. So, yeah. It's cute, but it's also so random. And, I mean, it doesn't have to be weird in the sense that, like, it's bad, but just so different. I mean, I've never, I think in one video I did, someone had mentioned that, like, Icelandic people like to announce when they're going to the bathroom. Mm-hmm. And I thought that was, like, at first I thought that was just something he did, but come to find out, it's like most people in the country will say...
Or at least a decent part.
Yeah.
It,
a lot of people.
Some people say it's weird in Iceland too, but a lot of people do it.
Yeah. Okay. What is something that I'm good at? So I'm not gonna say I, but I'm gonna answer it for Gunnar first, because there's a lot of things that he's really good at, and I think one of the things that at least in our relationship is really awesome is that he's a great listener. Now, granted, yeah, he's like, yes! Granted, he has probably honed this over the years from being a therapist. But I think, some people, they're really good at their jobs and then they come home and they're completely different. And what's nice is that it's a seamless thing, like in terms of the listening and really being attentive when I need him to be emotionally available and things like that. So I really find that is a awesome thing that you're really good at. So what am I really good at, Gunnar? It's like,
Thank you, that was very nice.
You're welcome.
It goes without saying there's a lot of things. And I would like to say a lot of things, but we're going to try to keep it to one thing. The first thing that came to my mind is because I sometimes am not that wonderful at organizing or having surprises. Jules is really good at that. And it brings a different flavor into my life that I'm very grateful for. It helps us both that, she's stronger in that aspect. But this is just because it came first into my mind, not the most important of all of them.
Yeah, and also he just had a surprise birthday party, so that's probably helpful.
That also makes it more likely to remember.
Okay, what is something that I'm not so good at? And I will answer this in terms of what I feel. And you can disagree, of course, but one of the things is Gunnar doesn't do as well when he sees other people cleaning up, unless it's like his mother, because usually he feels like people are not doing it sufficiently enough. And he has his own idea about how to clean something. So especially if someone comes over to our house, I always tell them, don't worry about doing the dishes, leave it alone. Gunnar really enjoys doing that. And also, you probably aren't going to clean it the way that he likes it. So, and it's not it's not like you're a perfectionist about a lot of things, but I feel like in this area, that's an area that you really feel like, I want it done this way. And so I stay out of it, but I also try to warn other people. They don't always listen. and it's kind of funny to see that interaction sometimes, but for the most part, people are like, okay, cool.
Yeah. That's fairly accurate.
Yeah. And what is something that I'm not so good at?
Again, the first thing that came to my mind is because we're different in this way, she's not that great at getting quickly out of bed. But waking up in the morning. But I guess that's my specialty.
I don't want to get out of bed. Yeah, he pops out of bed though. I mean, it's intense, it's almost like a cartoon. It's like, how are you up so quickly? My brain is still turning on. So yeah, fair enough. I can agree. Ooh, what is something that I do that annoys you?
I mean, there's over the days and years, there are many things that annoys me, or I take in an annoying manner, as someone does around me, specifically the person that I live with and I spend most of my time with.
True.
So now, there is not one thing that repeatedly pops up that frustrates me, which I think is a really good sign. And I don't know about mentioning old ones, if that's interesting or not.
You can go for it, it's okay. I feel like this is such a sensitive thing, right? Because you don't want to upset anybody, but I thought it was also a fascinating question because we've talked about these things a little bit.
I guess differences in habits of eating. That was a thing that was difficult for me because I had a sensitivity to a certain I guess mouth sound.
The way that I chew. By the way, is what he's
the
talking
sound
about.
that comes out.
Oh yeah, the sound when I'm chewing.
When chewing with an open mouth for chips or something, you know.
I like to crunch chips a lot. So even if my mouth is closed, I'm just like I love it. And he's not really fond of it.
No, but now it's like once a month I notice it or less.
I also eat chips less because, you know, I'm working out, I'm trying to eat healthy. So now it's me and the sound of chewing broccoli. It is not as crunchy as that. But yeah. Okay, so what is something that you do that annoys me?
Can also, if it's difficult to choose one, you can say what I don't annoy you with.
What is it? Well, that's coming up later. I have one that you like, you know. We're gonna get to that. Don't worry. We're not gonna leave it off on like a negative note. But okay. I guess the one thing, and I'm not sure if you notice it, but sometimes you bang your fork or spoon up against the plate when you're eating. And sometimes I hear it. It almost sounds like you're like purposefully doing it, but I think it's just the way you eat. So, but it doesn't really, like, I think like you said, you just get used to certain things, and also it doesn't really matter over time as much about this stuff. Like, it just kind of becomes regular life. If you were a different new person in my life, I mean like a friend coming over and I heard it, I might be like, oh, but you're Gunnar, and we've been together for quite a long time. We live together, you know what I mean? So you just kind of adapt to people's habits. Yeah.
Okay. It's an interesting thing to learn.
Yeah.
I didn't know that one.
Okay.
I'll try to pay attention to it.
Yeah. We have interesting eating things that we've brought up. I think that we have that in common. That's what it's centered around. Okay. What is something that I do that you like? And I will answer this about you. Just because you... Wait, I just answered, didn't I? Okay, you answer. Sorry. Okay. What is something that I do that you like?
One thing again. Okay.
It could be multiple things that you really like.
There are very many things that Jules does that I like. I find our communication to be generally very positive, and she's shown to be able to learn new ways of communicating that are very healthy, I think, and beautiful. And I'm very grateful for that. My pleasure, and likewise. And then also for being so willing to cook and do it well and in a healthy manner. I am very grateful for that. It's a boon in my life.
Yay.
And then I'll just leave it to that, but I could say more.
Okay, so since we're doing two things, I'll do two, which is pretty easy. One of them, so since I like to cook a lot, we kind of have this deal, if you would say, but I think it's just really natural for us to be this way, is that Gunnar then likes to clean the dishes and clean up, which I think is amazing. I'm just like, oh, this is such a great, like, relationship, you know, agreement, if you will, because he gets to get healthy food, and I, after cooking, you know, quite tired, so it's nice that you do want to actually chip in that way by cleaning up. And I just really am grateful for it as well, because it just feels like I get a chance to relax, and he also just, you know, gets a chance to clean the dishes the way that he wants them to be done, which is great. And other things that I like is, or at least one other thing amongst the many, is that he's very considerate about like including people and just kind of being thoughtful. So if, you know, something comes up with his family or whatever else, you're really flexible around being helpful with them. And like, even if it annoys you, he'll just still be like, I'm gonna go and help because I want to help people. And I think that's like really nice. And you just try to be thoughtful around the fact that if other people need you, then you want to be there for them. And, you know, sometimes you don't always think of yourself, but he's getting so much better at that, which is great, and giving himself kind of like time to relax. But it's also just, I think another thing that like attracted me to you is that you're just always so helpful and so kind towards people, and I think that's really beautiful. Thank you, Gunnar, for coming on and being so sweet. Since this video was kind of long and we answered a lot of questions, I'm actually going to break it up into 2 parts. When I looked at it, it ends up being like 50 minutes. So part 1, which you just saw, is just, getting to know Gunnar and some questions of the 2 of us. But there's a part 2 coming up. So make sure that you subscribe so you don't miss that video, which is going to come out next. As well as if you are interested in Iceland, getting to know more about the culture, the language, hearing interviews about Iceland itself, whether it's about some of the people that are here who are fascinating or just like things that happen here. I have a podcast called All Things Iceland that you can check out. The description box will have the link to it. And Gunnar is even one of the people that I've interviewed about mental health in Iceland. So it's like really fascinating topics that are covered. So feel free to check that out. And of course, you can follow along on some of our adventures on Instagram and Facebook. Mostly you'll find that it's like me and nature, but Gunnar likes to show up every once in a while. But if you don't see him in the photo, just know that more than likely he took the photo. He's a true Instagram husband and an awesome one. So thanks again for watching, and I look forward to seeing you in the next one. Oh, and if you want to see Gunnar again, let us know in the comments. Right, Bruno?